commissioner of the TRSBA, journalism has been called into question, particularly by the president of the TRSBA. And I want to make one thing known. I'm a fair commissioner. I'm a fair journalist. I try to say it as it is. I like to cause controversy a little bit sometimes. I like to keep the league on its toes. And there's been a lot of fucking trades. Let's start with that. I mean, this is fucking crazy, cunts. Absolutely crazy. I mean, let's start with this is only 11 days ago. We had the draft, maybe 12, 13 days ago, whatever it was. Straight off the bat, we get a trade. We get Tyler Hero, the 2024 pick 1 from Utah. They were traded for Keontae George, pick 16, and pick 2, 2024, and a second round pick. So that ended up being Reed Shepherd being drafted by the Utah Saints, and Alex Sarr went number 1 to the New York Lions. So that was the first trade. Let's talk about the other 6 or 7 trades that have fucking happened since. Trying to keep up with this. The president's doing a good job keeping up with all this shit, but he's been involved in half the trade, so it's his own fault half the time. But let's have a look. And we're going to probably look at some of these rosters afterwards as well. But let's start with that big 3-team trade, which only happened a few days after the draft. The double doubles, well, this happened recently. The double doubles traded Franz Wagner. The Barbarians got him. We'll see if he's still on the roster. I can't fucking keep up, so I don't know. The Bulls traded Jokic to the Barbarians. But Lillard and Tatum have gone to the Bulls in a second round pick. The Wild Bulls obviously traded Kobe White and Kevin Durant to the double doubles. So don't know if I think that's the whole trade. That's the 3 I've got written down. So we'll see if I've got all of that. But some big moves there. It was fairly even, I thought. 3 big powerhouse teams in the top 5 in the league going at it. I like the Tatum and Jokic evenality, in my opinion, as far as their values. I think Wagner was a better player to have than Lillard, obviously longer term. Dynasty wise, I think that's a really good move. The Bulls are looking to try to win up front. And I don't know if they can do that with Randall on the team, but we'll get to their team later. And the double doubles have got some fine pieces. So we'll look at those 3 rosters after we've sort of gone through all these trades. But what a start that was. That was a big blockbuster. A friggin' league blockbuster of a trade. I don't know how these 3 teams pulled it off. Congratulations and kudos to those guys. The Nerds and the Flyers did a deal again, but I don't know how many times these guys do a deal, but it's very often. So they traded Jaden McDaniels, John Collins, and Precious Achua. And Zach Edey's gone, the big fucker. Oh, I didn't see that. He's gone to the Flyers. I think he's probably the best player in the deal. That's interesting to trade the big fucker away. Bronny James and LeBron obviously got traded to Dan. So Dan's got Bronny and LeBron and JV as well. So he's got a pretty solid team. And we might look at that roster as we get to the end of it. That's an interesting deal. Turner and Rozier did it, and it did something else. This was something as part of that other deal. Rozier was traded to the where did Rozier end up? The Wild Boars. Miles Turner went back to the double doubles. We'll have a look and see how that all looks. The Barbarians then decided they'd fucking go after the next big thing. And this is a trade that I caught wind of in the last 16 hours, 20 hours that was going to happen. And it was, Wembanyama's probably the biggest trade asset in the TRSBA right now. And it's pretty hard to say that from a player that's starting their second year in the league. But I honestly reckon that he's by far the biggest asset. And we don't know what sort of stats he's going to generate in the future. He looks scarily good as a rookie. These things are always a risk, and you can understand why teams might want to trade to get better now and some to get better down the line. How the Barbs will look for the 2024-25 season will be interesting because they have decided to cut some really good, solid players, but they are looking at the future, and the future will probably look bright. And they are looking at really getting that dynasty going in the next couple of years again. So whether they push the championship away for 2024-25 doesn't really matter because they're going to look at trying to do 10 out of the next 20 years with this sort of these sort of things. It's a big trade. Whether it should be allowed, I don't. It's arguable by some of the GMs. I can understand, but as a commissioner, we allow it. All's fair in love and war. I was going to put up a fucking thing about the Knight Rider, but well, if you didn't know what the Knight Rider concept was, our mate Mark Handel on draft night called Dalton Connect Dalton Knight. So we've dubbed him the Knight Rider. And, he went from number 3 to 17 on the draft day. And that's poor little Marcus had a few memes about that one. Have a look at there's 3 free agent signings. I'll just draw your attention to the Snipers were the team that got the Jovic, 3-year deal, $2 million. None of these deals are that expensive. I mean, Gafford 3.5, similar to last year, and Nasri to 2 years, 1.1. So they're the 3 trades there that sort of happened. I'm going to pull up some of these rosters now and just really comment. And let's just analyze some of these rosters. The Jags obviously haven't changed their roster really. Cows haven't. Butchers, I'm not going to look at theirs. I'm going to look at the Nerds because they were involved in a deal for LeBron. If we get them in over there, we've got a very veteran team still. They've got Vucevic. They've got LeBron, DeMar DeRozan, who's signed with Sacramento, Kawhi Leonard, and he's going to be playing maybe shooting guard. We'll see. Tobias Harris got a new home, I believe, in Detroit again. I think Detroit, he'll do well there. They've got Simmons, they've got Klay Thompson, they've got Brogdon, so they're going to be competitive. I don't think there's any absolute superstars, but a really good, solid team that will do really well, you think. JV, I think he's found a good place in Washington, so I think that's a good deal. They obviously signed JV and they traded him, so that was good. They've still got dickheads like Marvin Bagley, and that's $39 million of cap used by the Jack. Let's have a look at the Boars. Also, an Eastern Conference team who've done a lot of moves. So, as I said, Julius Randle, very expensive center there. Jason Tatum is their best player now, but Anthony Edwards is not far behind. So they've got 2 really gun players there. Butler's past his prime, as is Lillard. Miles Turner's there. Derek White, Schroeder. So there's some depth there. They've got a couple of superstars. They're going to compete, but it'll be interesting to see if they make any more changes. Devoid of draft picks, as you'd expect. If we look at the Hurricanes, let's see what the Hurricanes have actually done here. They got Jokic, which I like. That's good. They've got Bam Adebayo. They've got Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. So they've got 4 out of 5 good starters. They could probably bring Gafford in if something happens to one of those other 2 guys. So that's not terrible. They haven't got much cap space now with Jokic, which is interesting. They might sign the Knight Rider. Who knows? Cole Anthony, you could probably... Can they waive him? 3.1 million is a lot to pay. Naismith, yeah, so they could certainly waive a couple of these guys to free up some space if they had to. But they're starting to be competitive, and I think they'll be fine. They'll be competitive in the West, but the West is tough, as we know. But they're taking a jump forward for 2024-25, so that'll make them interesting, make them competitive. Long term, you can't always just think you're going to keep getting, Ultimately, you've got to try to see what you can do, and this is what this team has decided to do. Let's go to the double doubles. Double doubles. They've still got the Gobert at center. They've still got Anthony Davis. They've got Durant. They've got Luca at the shooting guard position, and they've got Kobe White. So pretty good starting five. We have a Rozier, a good solid backup off the bench. Not a lot of other bench there worth noting, in my opinion. But yeah, good stuff. Let's have a look at this Barbarian team that teams will fear at some stage. Whether they fear them this year is maybe a different matter. But let's have a look. They've got Victor and Pascal and Franz. So they've got a very solid young front court apart from Pascal. They've still got that aging veteran Steph Curry. They've got Maxey into the starting lineup. And they've got Jalen Williams, which he could probably start over Franz as well. I think we'll see if he's better, but they've got him as a good backup. They've got Jabari Smith with a lot of upside at 21. Grant Williams, I think he was signed as a free agent, not that great. Melton, paid a bit for Melton, which is fine. Yeah, and I expect that they'll probably, with that all that cap space, they can certainly. It's a wonder they didn't chase after some of these other guys, but they've only got 4 contracts there. 1, 2, 3 that they'll extend, and they've got a lot of ability. They can add GG Jackson in there. Some of these guys down the bottom won't hang around, but it is what it is at the moment. And that's the round. I think the league's competitive. I think Dennis and Dan, I could tell these guys were really agitated when they saw the news coming through this today. A lot of Watts say, what the fuck this? But it's probably going to be a more even league in 2024-25. Will the Barbarians even be the best team? I don't think they will, but you don't know. You do not know. It's just going to be a great league. I'm looking forward to it. And these trades really set all these teams up all over the place. And it's just fantastic what could potentially happen here. Let's see if I can get rid of that shared screen shenanigans. There we go, boys. Thank you.